check to see if it's running. All right, the live stream is good on YouTube. Now I just have to check to make sure it's transporting over.
You gonna put them on this screen, the YouTube and the live, the Facebook?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I'm not gonna be looking at or touching that screen. Somebody's trying to get in.
I can't do nothing about that right now.
That's early, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like Adrian, two people trying to get in.
Like streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Just got
That's the
to.
Facebook one.
Yeah, the YouTube is connected. I just got connected to Facebook. Well, it's already supposed to be started. Let me just start connecting. Come on. Yeah, there we go.
Which one is recording?
You need to record on Zoom.
I think I got it set up to record on Zoom.
Come on.
But how can I can't check it now though, can
No, you just gotta hit the
I can hit the
record.
button.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause if they don't start, cause it should
Oh, right. All right. They're
so
both
you
there.
gotta get rid of that cue.
No, when you put on your camera, it's gonna show up like this.
Just hit the camera.
No.
That happened yesterday.
Yeah, I did. I fixed it yesterday. Jesus, get away from me, bro. For real, get away from me. Don't be sneezing around me like that.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I don't care. I don't want to take no chances.
I'm not sick.
Okay. That's what everybody
I have
says.
sinuses. This side of my nose, it stopped growing. And, well, no, it didn't stop growing. It continued to grow. So this side builds up
Dang.
congestion.
Okay. Fail video, please. Check video
There's a
settings.
strong pungent odor in here. The girl, she burned some popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I'm smelling it.
Bitch. All I gotta do is get this and I'm good. No, I need the actual. It's supposed to be a Logitech camera. This happened yesterday. Okay. Fixed it yesterday. That's something in here. That's the right thing. Something in here. This will be smoother next time.
You went into the settings and did something.
Yeah. Come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. Where are you at? Where are you at? Why is this not playing? Just taking it from the screen. OBS doesn't have a camera. Oh my god, why didn't he settings save? Okay. not doing that. You did not touch the camera at all. You
No.
only touched the audio today.
Right. That's the same camera we had, same setup. What does that say?
It says cannot start camera. Go into video camera settings. And then I go into video camera settings and it does not change anything. And your video camera settings aren't really. I wasn't in this.
You went into another place. It was advanced.
Yeah, it was advanced settings. Let's see anything. All these filters. I don't need that. What is going on? And you just use that.
Yeah, just use the camera. It won't let you cut the camera on.
It has something to do with this. It's gotta have something to do with that.
You had set up the AB roll.
It's like it was perfect, man. Come on, Chris.
So whatever it is, it should be showing there now, right?
Yeah.
That's the preview.
Like this is
Will it allow you to select the camera?
trying to think if OBS is gonna allow me to select the camera, cause then, but you still need to be seen on Zoom. I'm not understanding why you're in a Zoom meeting and you can't select a camera. You see what I'm saying? This Zoom meeting has nothing to do with OBS right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want to log back in?
How you do that?
Hit in. Hit cancel. You
Cancel.
don't need to record. Click off, right? Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. So it is recording.
Bro. We had this set up yesterday. And you just had a meeting where you were running it, and now, you know what?
What? Did you go into settings on the camera?
Settings on what app?
I mean, for that meeting, make sure that the cameras.
Let me pull that down.
I don't want to do it over here because it mess it up.
Settings. Where is the settings for this camera? See, the settings here are right here.
Yeah.
It says it's not showing up. I don't know what's going on. Like you just
Not
used it.
seeing in the video. Click on that.
Where?
Right there.
Make sure the webcam is plugged in. Check the video selection. Ensure the webcam is not being used by another application. Not using that. Not using it. Bro. Nothing's using it. Alright, I got 2 minutes and then we're gonna have to think of another solution. But this is crazy right now.
Is there another advanced settings? Because I know you clicked on that and then you went to another one.
There's no more advanced settings in here.
Hit video. You see where it says appearance? Hit video.
That's this. I'm like confused right now.
OBS virtual camera. Where's that at?
That's there. And I don't even know why it's trying to run a virtual camera through there.
Well, there's no camera on there.
Let's see, mirror. Fuck. Okay.
So the camera on Zoom is not working. Therefore, we're not gonna have camera on anything.
No. That's exactly right. And I mean, we literally came in here yesterday and it was working. This is crazy, man. And honestly, it's like there's just one camera right here. Where's the camera at?
It's plugged in at the bottom.
Right on the back side?
On the back.
Unplug the camera and plug it back in, please.
I don't know, bro. It's over there.
Follow the. It's over here near me.
It's over here. It's like the wire.
Yeah, just pull it.
It's the real thin one. I'm pulling on it.
Thank
See
you.
one light
Yeah,
blue?
I see it.
I'll push it down. I'm pushing it down.
Do it again.
You got it?
No, do it again. Do it again. Just pull it.
Coming from here.
Pull it.
Pull it.
Yeah. Harder.
Pull it.
Okay. Thank you. I got it. That is so freaking crazy. The only thing that I can think is that when you plugged in this board, it is. Oh, it's working now.
I was gonna say that's audio.
It's working now. I don't know what that was about.
Audio don't have nothing to do with video.
I know. I was like, what the heck?
So reseating it helped.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. All right. You're good to go.
There.
It's delayed. It's going to come on.
That's Facebook.
Oh, my God. Bro, you stressful.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
All right. So you're good. You're streaming.
So this is Facebook here now.
Yes, that's Facebook now. So I'm trying to make sure that this is streaming because I don't.
YouTube.
Yeah, OBS should be streaming. Thank you, God.
I don't need to touch anything
Mm-mm.
because
me.
Why is you frozen?
Um, it's not on play. So don't pay attention to OBS.
OBS is that one there.
I'm leaving your stream right there. Okay.
Take the image off now? We should at least have one slide, shouldn't we?
Too late, Dad.
I know, but go, you don't need that, right? Minimize that. Oh, what was that? Oh, that's YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's over there. Facebook's over there.
Split screen.
Yeah, we good to go. All right, man. Next time we're good.
9 o'clock.
All right, go ahead and sit down. And I'm
We're
gonna
gonna take all this out though. We doing now. Edit out.
yeah. So you can start accepting people into your Zoom.
So should I
Put in your headphones.
use these right now? Look, if I
Can you?
use these, if the battery dies, can I plug in? If the battery dies,
Shouldn't be able to.
I should not be able to.
No. I have to now link your Facebook Live to the website because it wasn't here before.
So you gotta go do that now.
Yes, I have to do that now. So I need you to just start and accept people. That way I can test it and hear it. Okay.
Okay. Well, I got 2 people. All right. Welcome. This may look crude, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna have a great show tonight. This is celebrating fatherhood 365. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about this. And we are going to, I got a beep, beep, beep going on. Can you hear that? Okay, just stop. First time doing this, so patience, grace. We did start on time, and this is technically a.
I need you to go.
Hold on 1 second. Huh?
I need to use your YouTube to copy the address.
YouTube? Yeah. All right. We're still trying to work out some technical difficulties. We did not start, well, we actually started on time, but up until the last minute, not the last minute, but the first minute, I should say, we were being challenged with that. So I'm going to change my view on here so that I won't see everybody. Take it out of the gallery view and put it in the speaker's view, just so I can manipulate this a little more. All right. Welcome to Celebrating Fatherhood 365. Got no graphics on the screen, but when you view this again on YouTube, it will probably be there. Like I stated, this is our first one. And with this being the first one, things can go haywire sometimes, as they usually do. So, celebrating fatherhood. Why did I decide to do this? And I'm going to invite some of the people on YouTube to join the conversation. But I will tell you, I prefer to have cameras on with that conversation. I like to know who I'm talking to, who I'm talking with. So that'll help me out a lot in interaction with other people. My son and I, when I say we've been working on this project for a while. And since I worked at Comcast some 30 years ago, I used to produce the shows there, and a lot of the shows were focused on empowering women. They had a lot of. I remember one I worked on called Sister Care International. Great show, and God's Woman, great show. But my thing in looking at fatherhood, I don't want to just talk about the man, talk about the man. It's, when I say fatherhood, we're talking about the whole family dynamics. What is his role within the family? And is he functional or dysfunctional? Now, a lot of us come out of dysfunction, and that's okay. I don't worry about where you are, where you were, looking at where we are now, and how did we survive that, and what did we go through to get to the functional part. And maybe we had to go through that journey without our fathers being present. We're going to address that as well. I don't want to pretend like men are perfect, but I can't pretend that women are perfect either. We're going to look at some statistics overall. We're going to look at blackdemographics.com. I said black demographics for black people, by black people. So we're going to talk about some of that from time to time. And we're going to look at, the goal for me in this is, we are accepting donations. We would like for you to share, subscribe, and like. Get the like numbers up, because if you get the like numbers up, then the algorithm with YouTube will put me on other pages for other people to see. We have a goal of about 2,000 people subscribed on YouTube right now. That puts you in the monetization phase of it. We're not here to really step on toes, but I did look on YouTube and other sources, and there are no programs that uplift the father role. There are no programs that promote fatherhood, as I'm going to define it for you. And my definition of it is based on what? His role within the family structure, okay? Be it together with mom or not. How do they get along together? Are they working together for the betterment of the family, for the betterment of the children? I do recognize that there are some blended families out there. Father is still a part of that. There are some situations that will grow and mature over time. But the main purpose is fatherhood, acknowledging that some of us are doing it right. And what I mean by right is we fail, we try, we fail, and we get up, And I do another program. I teach a class called a parenting class, and through Quadrant Family Services. And with that, we talk about try, experience, and adjust. And that's what I want us to be able to do as we go on this journey, dealing with fatherhood, celebrating fatherhood. I am a father of 6 children, and everything okay? Huh? Okay. We're going to get there. We want to build the platform with subscriptions. We want to build a platform with donations, and we're going to look at getting some sponsors, because this is something that I believe in. And like I say, I started on public access, and there was nothing that promoted men. It's gotten so bad out there that Google celebrating fathers, or do something, say something positive about fathers, and there's nothing out there. Now, I was talking with a friend of mine, I don't know if it was today or yesterday. We talked about males. There are males out there, but then there's fathers. Those are 2 different categories. Okay, a father means that you have children. That is a family involved. You cannot have children with, without a mother. So we're not just talking about the male role, or being a role model. I'm looking at how does the father fit into the family dynamics. Even if there's a divorce that took place, is he still engaged? Is he still involved? Those are some of the stories we want to bring you, that I want to pull out of some people, because I want to dialogue with people about this issue of celebrating fathers. What kind of home did they grow up in? Was their father functional or dysfunctional? And is anything positive we can say about that role, being a father? And so um, another thing, I talked about the donations. Okay, Phil White, a good friend of mine. I'm hoping that he will get on tonight. We well, he actually started a fatherhood program, and I used to speak at his fatherhood program. He's the father of two children. Both of them are college graduates. He's married. He started the fatherhood program in Henrico County, Virginia. He's networked with a lot of other fatherhood programs and helped them, assisted them in getting started and pointing them in the right direction. So we want to look at what can we do to celebrate and bring positive recognition to fathers. Okay. Unfortunately, like I stated, there's not a lot out there. Maybe this will be a new trend with people coming on. I'm going to try to have some really important guests. I'm going to say exciting guests. Not all of them are going to be friends of mine. I have a lot of friends who are fathers, but we are going. Everything okay? Okay. We are going to. Okay, I'm right here now. All right, we're going to move forward with that. So I do see two gentlemen on here now. If you would like to engage in conversation now, I would love for you to, either one of you, to just raise your hand. And like I said, if you're going to engage, we definitely want cameras on. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with cameras on, then that's another issue. But who would like to be first and talk about fatherhood? Y'all looking for y'all buttons? Okay, I'm hoping. This, like I said, this is the purpose of it more than anything. I could talk for an hour, but nobody wants to hear me talk for an hour. I'd much rather talk with you. And I know both of these gentlemen too, so, but the questions I'm going to ask, it might shock them a little bit, but like I said, this is the platform for that. Celebrating Fatherhood 365. Fathers have a very interesting job. And here's something too, because I get this in teaching a parenting class, a lot. When I ask fathers, what is your number one job as a father? Okay. Most fathers think that they are to be the provider, and then some think they need to be the protector. Okay. And believe it or not, both of them are wrong. That is not your number one function as a father. Your number one function as a father is to take care of the father. Your name could be Adrian or Wendell, but the goal is to what? Take care of yourself first. Your mind, your body, your spirit, and your finances. That's your number one purpose and goal as a father, is to lead by example. Just the guy's name, John Maxwell. I've read several of his books. He says this all the time. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay? So it's not just one aspect of it. It's leadership. What are you leading the family towards? Now, I'm a Christian values. And when I work with couples, when I talk to people, I tell men that they have what I call a five-fold ministry in the home. Okay? It's not to provide and protect and put a period. We got some comments there. It's provide, protect, teach, instruct, and cultivate. You cultivate relationships within the home. You cultivate, you build bridges. We can go outside of that now. Initially we look at the individual, the family, the community, and society. We build in those areas there, but we have to build the individual first. That's why the fatherhood, and then from building fatherhood, we look at moving forward. Because any male can have a child, but it takes a father to raise the child. Okay, just because I've heard people call them sperm donors. Just because you donated some sperm don't make you a father. Okay? A father is there for their children, taking care of themselves first and then teaching those core values to their children, okay? So as a father, you're gonna look at um, provide, protect, teach, instruct, and cultivate relationships within the family dynamic. That is so very important for us to do, and we want to be able to celebrate him for doing so. Now, a lot of times with parents going through custody situations or divorce situations, I'll just be honest with you. This is my opinion. I don't think that we should pat a man on the back for paying child support. You know, you don't get credit for doing something that you are supposed to do anyway. Provision, make provisions for your children, for the family that you help to create or procreate in the lifetime. So you don't get credit for that. I give credit to the father who's there when the child needs them, when we are there to teach and cultivate relationships with them, to instruct them, to lead and guide them on the way that they should go. Biblically says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. Okay? So that's the aspect of it. Well, Mr. Cheatham, you are live now. Why don't you unmute and let's engage a little bit, okay? Because I want to talk to, like I said, I do want to talk to anybody that's on here. So if you can unmute, you might need to set up a little bit. Yeah, you look a lot brighter when you set up closer too. Okay. How are you today, sir? Okay. So what do you think about the show topics title so far? The title, because a lot of people say, "I'm interested" when I say celebrating fatherhood 365. What do you think about that? Uh, every day of the year, he has to show up every day of the year. You know, you can't be a father 5 days out of the week, right? You got to show up 365. Yeah, so I like that title myself. Um, Now I know you, but for the sake of the audience, do you have any children? Do you so did you help raise? Okay, okay. And how are the relationships now? That's your favorite thing there. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're kind of like a stepfather to them. Do you have any step grandchildren at this point in time as well? Okay, okay. Now that is an interesting role too. Being a step parent. But I don't believe in step, and I don't believe in adopted. If you're my child, you're my child. I don't say my stepchild or my adopted child. I just don't do that as a father. When you are part of the kingdom, you're part of the kingdom. That's how I look at it. What are your thoughts on that? Uh, yes. So do you believe in going to church with the kids or dropping them off at church? So you just drop them off? Okay. Okay. Mhm. Yeah. Now let me ask you another question too, because you mentioned step, and the profession that you're in. Did any of your children follow you in that profession, or did everybody do something different? And go ahead and mention what profession you're in, because you've been doing it for probably about 50 years. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but this man is about 80 years old. No, I'm just playing. He's not that old. He's not there yet. 73. Okay. Um, which is, your profession is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 Now, lately, you and I have been talking about, trust, family trust, and incorporating that into the whole mix. How are your children with that? Are they versed in that as well? Are they open to that? Okay. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Right. 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 Okay. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Mm. For the next generation, that is a biblical principle. Shallow. Yes. That's important. Yeah, it ebbs and flows, because I heard that there's a saying. Let me see if I can say it right. That strong people, we create that environment. You know, I say tough times build strong people, but strong people create times in which kids have become weaker because we do so much for them. It weakens the next generation. This guy gave the analogy of his great grandfather was driving a horse and buggy, and his daddy had a Ford. He had a what was it, big car? I think he was driving a Lexus. His son will probably drive a Mercedes, but he said my grandson will probably be walking. That's what it started with. His father walked. The grandfather walked. He drove. The Mercedes came, and then the next generation they was back walking again. You know, that's because of what we pass on and the values and standards. To me, and I teach a lot about wealth and things like that, even in my parenting class. But to me, the greatest wealth you can pass on is the desire for education and knowledge. Because if they are growing and learning about money and the situation, economics and politics, they will be better off than you give them $1 million, because you give a fool $1 million, what is it going to be like in the next generation? They'll be broke. They will be broke. And I was just getting ready to call on Mr. Adrian, and he just got bumped off. Hopefully he'll come back on. As soon as he will, I will invite him back in. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, sir, and hang in there with us, okay? Because I might pop up. I might pop you in again, and or get engaged in a 3 or 4 way conversation. Anyone else like to say something at this time? Because, like I said, I wanted this platform to be building around guests and their situations and what's going on in their lives, and promoting the role of fathers and how important we are to the generation. You know, I have 6 children from 2 different marriages, but my children, we don't step nobody. Those are my kids. They are brothers and sisters, just like Mr. Cheatham was talking about. You know, there's no step, there's no adopted. They are children. And we have to be mindful of that, because what we are teaching them and what they're learning from us is important. And I wanted to create this platform to show women, show the world. That's why we're on YouTube and on Facebook, that there are men who are competent, professional, taking care of their body, taking care of their mind, taking care of their spirit, taking care of their finances. And not everybody is what you see on TV these days. You know, interesting thing that I always see a lot of times is, they talk about men are dogs, men cheat, men do this and men do that. But every time I hear that, I hear the parable in the Bible when Jesus said they brought this woman to Jesus and said that she was committing adultery, and she was caught in the very act of committing adultery. And Jesus said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone." Some of y'all might remember that story. And I always ask, well, where was the man? If she was caught in the very act, there should be 2 people there for them to stone, and not just the woman. So now, fast forward to men are dogs, men cheat, men do this, men do that. I'm saying, well, where is the woman? Am I making sense, or am I crazy? Where is the woman? Men cheat, women cheat. Don't dog on the man because he's doing something that he's doing it with a woman. All things being equal, it should be with a woman. In fact, blackdemographics.com says that 24% of women cheat. And there are 2 million more black women than there are black men. 24% of women cheat, and there are 2 million more women than men. 28%. Men cheat at a 28%. Okay? So if you look at the numbers, it's not that far off. Whereas men should be demonized by that statistic. You know what I'm saying? Does it happen? Absolutely. Does crime happen? Absolutely. Does death happen? Absolutely. All these things occur, but you got to create balance and look at it from a perspective that it's a human condition in the sight of God. If you're a believer, it's sin. So why should I demonize her or demonize him when it was 2 people there? And I couldn't understand the parable when they said she was caught in the very act. Maybe I misread it. Maybe I misunderstood it. But it said in the very act. So where was the man? Was he not guilty as well? Maybe that's why Jesus said, "He who was without sin cast the first stone," because how can she be there by herself? That's just my brain and how it works. I may not. I'll figure that out in the great by and by one day. We have Marvin. He's been holding. Would you like to come on? I need some water. And address anything, Marvin? Feel free to unmute. We're not, like I said, I'm not here to talk for 2 hours. I want to engage in conversation and celebrate fatherhood as it should be. And then bringing in fatherhood for me is bringing in balance. You know, uh, okay, okay. How many children do you have? Five. Okay, I have six. One more. Well, you got one. I believe you got one more in you, sir. I'm gonna, I'm gonna prophet lie right now. Okay, I'm gonna prophet lie on you, Bishop. That's okay. Okay, that's my buddy there. We've been knowing each other for a long time. I thought it was you, but I wasn't sure. So that's why I wanted to bring you in, and believe it or not, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Believe it or not, I am going to have some women guests appear on here at some point in time and interview them. And the goal is to be intellectually honest with one another. We make mistakes, we fall down, we do things, we learn from those mistakes. That's the important thing. The greatest demonstration of love is forgiveness. So we got to learn to forgive our parents, forgive ourselves, and create that relationship within the, I say this, human experience that we're having. Because nobody's perfect. But without that relationship, like I said in my class, that every cell in our body is what? There for a relationship. When those cells fail to communicate because of behaviors, because of stress, because of trauma, because of unhealthy conditions, maladaptive dysfunction, guess what? Those cells become diseased. And that's where disease comes from. So we want to build a healthy relationship within the dynamics of the family. So when I talk about fatherhood, I'm talking about family. Okay? That means the individual has done some work on himself, right? And now he's looking outwardly towards his family for legacy, as Mr. Cheatham talked about. Oh, I'm getting a beep, beep, beep in my ear. It's like a countdown. Okay? It's very loud. Can y'all hear a beep or anything, or is it just me? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't coming out that way. Now, I have a young lady on the line, and we have a Samsung. I don't know who the Samsung is, but Vanya, would you like to join the conversation about fatherhood? What are your thoughts on the title? What are your thoughts on what I've been talking about so far? Um, Anything that comes to mind? We are scheduled, and we're not going to do every show is going to be 2 hours. We're scheduled for two, but my goal today, because we're coming back again on Wednesday, is to do 1 hour tonight. Okay, we're just doing 1 hour today. Yes, ma'am. Oh, she put a qualifier on it. I can't wait to hear this one. If. What's your qualifier? Absolutely. Well, how do you define a good father? Because I gave my definition of a good father. So what is your definition of a good father? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So here's my definition, just in case you missed it. The provider, the protector, the teacher, the instruction giver, and the cultivator. You're talking about cultivating the relationships within the family system. I agree with that. But I always ask this question, and sometimes it gets me in trouble: is should a woman who's submitted to God submit to a man who's not submitted to God? Amen. Who he's following. Mhm. Right. Right. Uh oh. I'm gonna step on your toes. Can I step on your toes? Okay. You picked him. See, you had the model. You knew what the model. You knew what it looked like. But but you picked him. Oh, you didn't know at the time. So he revealed himself to you. Well, see, now we're getting into a subjective moral issue as well, you know, because remember I talked about self-care. Talk about it a lot. Spirit, mind, body, finances, right? So if spirit is first in your life, or was first in your life, is first in your life, then that should be your guiding force, correct? At the time you wasn't there. Okay, okay. Right. Yeah. Amen. Amen. And we can't fault you for falling down, because even the scripture says a just man will fall 7 times. So you're not guilty because you fall. Is do you keep falling? Do you keep falling? That's when sin comes in. When you keep doing it, you keep doing it. But if you fall one time, you're supposed to what? Learn from it and do better and do better. Right. It leads to what? Dysfunction. Right. If you are not willing to grow and change. Uh huh. You settle. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I wish you were on camera when you said that. I wish you would get on camera and say that. I hope you would get on camera and say that. I, See, okay, okay. Well, we don't want we don't okay. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that. You're not appropriate, but that was powerful, because a lot of people think that we can change somebody. You can't change nobody but you. That's it. You hope the best, believe the best, but at the end of the day, it's between him and God. That's like this is the real. When a man or a woman cheats, it's not even about you. It's about their relationship with God. So don't take it. So, but you still take it personal. You think it's you when you want control, because you want to control it. Right. Here's the difference. Here's the difference. And I hate for this to sound very spiritual. We're moving in this direction, and I'm not ashamed of it. But Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. See, that's where we messed up at right there. In all your ways, I'm selecting a mate, right? I'm having a child with the mate. Acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Paths with an S. But sometimes we tend to leave God out because we want what? Control. We think that we're going to change somebody. Exactly. Amen. Making excuses. Was that God that allowed you to do that, or was that you doing that? We want to blame somebody, but we want to we want to blame somebody. We can't take responsibility for that. God forbid. God could have also found you the husband that you deserved, not what you wanted. Do you know? Hey, it all depends. That's a whole nother show. That it all depends. Do you know statistically, 80% of women have children or have sex with 16% of men? 16% of men father about 80% of the children, or women will have sex with them. Isn't that 80%? I'm looking at black statistics. Will have a baby or relations with 16% of the men. Why is that? Because he looks good, the way he talks, the way he dressed. Or I can change him. Now here's crazy. Here's crazy for me. But I'm just telling you, here's crazy with me. There was a man, I saw him on Ileana, if I said her name correctly. He had 34 children by 27 different women. And you know what they thought? They could change him. They could save him. That if he had sex with them, they would be the only one that he wanted. So my thinking is, okay, if you had 5 children by 5 different women and you're not with them, what make you such a great catch? Women will pick him. 56% of black men are unmarried and not in relationships that are marriage age. Women swipe, you know that term swipe right, swipe left? Women will swipe left 70 to 80% of the time when they're looking at men on sites. That's how many men they disregard just on physical appearance. Well, I appreciate that. See? You are being honest. Next time, I want you on Wednesday. I want you on Wednesday, and I want you camera ready, okay? Because you're going to get a lot of smoke by saying that. People going to want to know who you are. They're going to try to find you if you say stuff like that. I hear you. I hear you. But here's the challenge men face. When you come home and you take the wig off, you take the You take the makeup off. You take the makeup off. You take the padding off. You take the. You see what I'm saying? They got to deal with all of that. What is it? Body shapewear. You know, I don't got. Okay. You see what I'm saying? We got to deal with all of that all the time. But you say, oh, he got a big nose. Oh, his teeth not fixed. You can get your teeth fixed. You know what I'm saying? You can get your nose fixed if I had a reason to do so. But you will swipe nope on appearance. And when you turn 70, 80 years old and you need somebody to change your diaper, do you really care how good he looks, or do you need help? Absolutely. Well, my thing is this: are you godly? That too, no. That's it first. Let's deal with that first. And then we can go down and deal with other things. Because if you're not godly first, that means you don't prioritize God first. That means you have you have wiggle room, what I call situational ethics. Your morality can be skewed. You can be part in the world and part in the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? If you don't put God first. That's why when I define fatherhood, I'm looking at spirit, mind, body, finances, teaching, instructing, providing, protecting, and cultivating relationships within the family, that's within the family system. You know, well, if that's what you want, then that should be your prayer, and God will what? Answer your prayer. But if you don't put God first and you go out there seeking your man for yourself, then you're gonna get what you deserve. Or what you ask for. Or what you ask for. And I hate to use that word deserve because people think they deserve something. Life is not fair. Rarely do we get what we truly deserve, because if we truly got what we deserve, we might not be here tomorrow. If you really think about it. So looking at a father's role, I wanted to do this show because there are not a lot of people talk about uplifting the father, or looking at what does a father look like? And am I teaching my sons and daughters by example, by being conscious that this is a father. This is who you should emulate to be, son. This is who you want to marry, daughter. Someone who's that type of person. But, no, we don't. It's a sad state of affairs. And here's the real. Rome did not fall through conquer. Rome was going out conquering the world. Most successful people who conquered the world, you know how they fell? Through moral decay. That means the morals of society changed to the point where people did not have standards anymore. And that's what caused the fall of that society. Okay? That's what they say. That's what they would say. But you got to remember, no. People don't want it anyway. People don't want it anyway. Here's the thing I tell my kids and I tell everybody. Choose your hard. You can work hard now and sacrifice now and life gets easier. Or you can be in the world, of the world, and doing the world things today, keep it easy, and then life gets hard. We got to make a choice. So I much rather have values and standards now. So that means I got to hold myself accountable now. So as I get older, life will get easier for me because I've disciplined myself to save, to invest, to help other people, to invest in my family, invest in the culture, and invest in my future. But a lot of people don't even think that far. You know, that's why we got people going on girls' trips and going on trips all the time now because they're not thinking about, am I going to need this money 5 years from now? No standards. See, if we have Christ as a standard, God as a standard, then people are not going to like you. I don't care. And if you ask most men, do you want to be respected or loved? There it is right there. There it is right there. You know what I told my children? I'm not your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want you to talk to me like your friend. I don't want you to think of me as your friend. I am your father. I set that boundary. Don't come to me popping and cussing and no. I'm going to walk away from you because I don't engage you at that level. And I'm going to first question. I'm going to ask you, are you okay? Who are you talking to? But some people today, because we have no standards, no morals, a child goes crazy, we go crazy. Who's the parent? Who's the child? I like what Dr. Phil said. We got the tail wagging the dog. You know? But I need you to come back and be camera ready so we can put a face to that name when you talk about control and why you chose the man you chose because you thought you could fix him. Oh, okay. Okay. Y'all were one accord. Okay. Right. So what was your solution? What was your solution? When he said no, he didn't want to do that. Really? Really? That's the only way you can know a snake? No. 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 It may have helped you. Here's another way of looking at that. For you, here's another way of looking at it. You ever heard the expression, experience is the best teacher? That's a false misnomer. You know what the whole you know what the whole statement is? See, we shorten things sometimes because we try to make it short, right? But the whole statement is other people's experience is the best teacher. That's the real. See, if you say experience is the best teacher, that means I need to taste sugar honey iced tea to know that it's sugar honey iced tea. No, if this man ate it, he said that's sugar honey iced tea. I've learned. Now, if I ignore him and eat it anyway, then I have no one to blame but myself. He said, "Oh yeah, it really is sugar honey iced tea." He just told me that. So that's why it's important to read to study to show yourself approved. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's so important to do those things. You chose that. You didn't have to go through it. You didn't have to go through it. Yeah, it was a choice. That's all I'm getting you to see. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So when you found out the first time, what did you do? You went and had another child with him. So you went and had another child with him. You let him back. He didn't change. He didn't change. He didn't change. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. No, no, no. You're helping. You're helping a lot of people. Let me ask you a question. Okay? Where was your father when you made that choice of a man for yourself? And where was your father when you decided to stay with him knowing that he was a male and not a man? Because there's a difference. I'm asking you. I'm asking you, where was he? Is he deceased? So he had some dysfunction in his life. So there was some dysfunction in your family growing up. That's what I'm trying to get to. There was some. Right. Right. Mm. And what did he say? Woo! Because you threw a brick at him. Right. 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 Well, here's the thing, and I know you want to point at him, but I want to show you the mirror. Okay? No, 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 no. Here's me showing that you don't mind me. I want to show you the mirror because you chose him, right? Let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Then I'm gonna tell you a story. What if the pastor of your church or a godly man or a father that you knew was a father, however you define a father, what if you had taken this man to him and said, I think I want to marry this man. Can you give me your honest opinion if this will work, this will be a good marriage? Spend some time with him and then let me know what you think. And based on what you say, I will make my decision. Do you think you would have made the same decision if you had someone in your life, that father figure that took the time to evaluate him and say, no, he's this, he's that, I wouldn't recommend it? Or you say, regardless of what they said, I still would have married him? Okay, okay, you're missing my point. Let me back up. Let me back up. I'm saying in the beginning, before you married him, before you had a child with him, you took him to your father figure. Since you said your father was not there, he was dysfunctional. But if you found someone who had the model role of a father said, "Can you talk to him, spend some time with him, and give me your honest opinion of him?" See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that can 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 I tell you something? Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something that you might not believe? And I got other men on the phone, and they will tell you the same thing. I can spend 5 minutes with a man, and I can tell you within 5 minutes if he's a good character or not. I don't have to spend 10 hours with him. You can't tuck in crazy with another man because men know how men think. You understand what I'm saying? Men know how men think. But are you listening to me though? What am I saying? What do you hear me saying? Which channel is he on? He fooled them. Is he on Facebook?
So they can't hear that.
Okay. Yeah, you said he fooled them, but here's the thing. Like even when I was raising my children, I saw things in my kids that I knew I needed to address, even as babies, because I am a father. Okay, I know men. I am a man. Okay, you are not, and that's what I'm trying to get you and the audience to see. You are not. So you might want to use that support system to help you to do the evaluation. And I'm saying that too because I have a daughter who's been dating. I call her serial dating, and I've offered my help with her, but she doesn't want my help. But I told her I could save you a lot of time and heartache and pain and frustration that's continually build up in her life before she gets so jaded. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't pay attention to that. That's the challenge. That is the challenge that we face. Somebody's trying to come in on the iPad. See, that's why I'm saying celebrating fatherhood 365, because as a father, we know how to evaluate a man to determine if he can come to the realm of being a good father. See, you got to remember, we got boys, we got males first. They're male, born male, then they're boys, right? Then they're teenagers. Then they can become a man, and after they become a man, they have to learn to be a father. Being a male is by birth. Being a man is a choice. Being male is by birth. Being a father, I'm talking about fatherhood, that's a choice. That's commitment to a process. That's sacrifice. I wore hand-me-down clothes for years. Say again?
I said I learned what a real father looks like by my strengthening my relationship with God.
Exactly.
Because
But
even my physical father
but
can't compare to God.
but here's the thing: you could have learned that from a spiritual father, a man who trusted and believed in God, who had God first. You would have learned that. It would have saved you some time.
My father was incarcerated. That's the only reason why he wasn't in prison.
Okay, but that's a character flaw, right? Did he make choices?
Yeah.
Okay. So the choices he made, there was consequences for those choices, right?
Yeah, it just be like the same. It be cycles, like repeated history, honestly. And not trying to be funny, but in a lot of our communities.
Yeah, but it's because of what? Lack of knowledge. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Right?
Yeah, I just know with my have a strong relationship with God, and I'm happy that they do, because I don't have to tell them to pray. They pray on their own, and you know,
But what I'm saying is, going back to you, is if you had that father figure in your life, it probably would have helped you to make better life choices than you would have made on your own based on your own dynamics. Okay, I got one more.
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you this quick story. Okay, you can share this with your daughters. There was this woman. She wanted to marry a man, but she took him to church to meet the pastor. He spent time with the man. He said, "Don't marry him. He's not the one." She tried to convince the pastor that he was the one because she loved him, and anything that the pastor said was negative, she had an answer for. Yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. So he got tired of it. He said, "Okay, I tell you what." He asked her to set up on the counter, right? He said, "Now you're the Christian, you have your values, you have your morals, and I am him. Pick me up." And she said, "I can't pick you up. No, you're the Christian. You have all these ideals. You think you can fix him, you can change him. Pick me up, the sinner." She said, "I can't do it." He said, "I know you can't, but I can pull you down." Do you get that analogy?
hmm
See, a lot of people don't know that or think like that. That's why we make the choices that we do. Because we think we can fix and change people, or we are in control because we know something. We may have read a book, but did you really study healthy communication? Even once you get in something and you get saved, God can make a way for you out of that something, but you got to do what first? Trust him.
yeah,
But we lean to our own understanding. We want to do it our way. We do want to do what we want think. And then you know what ended up happening? We have multiple children by a person that we probably should have stopped once we had one.
yeah. I don't regret my kids though. I'm happy I got all of them.
Of
That's the
course.
best thing. He served his purpose though.
Oh wow. Woo! I could slice and dice that, but I'm not, because we are at 10:06, and I said 1 hour. We're going to be back on Wednesday, and I want to continue this conversation. For those of you who are with me today, feel free to come back, and also go back to my website, and click donate. Help this channel to grow. Go to YouTube and hit subscribe. We're trying to get 2,000 subscriptions as quick as we can, so that this channel will become monetized and we can do some other things with the show. I want to have some good guests coming on. It's not going to just be me talking every week, but I want to continue with this type of conversation, and looking at it as the role or benefit of having that father in your life 365 days. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. God bless you, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Oh, Mrs. Johnson, do we have to submit the notes
There are
for
no
this?
there are no notes for this.
Okay.
She's from my parenting class, so no, there are no notes. This is just podcast. Okay. Enjoy. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.
Right.
All right. Could I just close here?
Recording.
All right. So I'm
let's
gonna let
go
you.
over a couple things.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, you recorded. I don't know if you're gonna be able to use this, but that's okay.
Wow. It recorded the audio.
If it recorded audio, then you can use that.
Oh, but it may not.
But it may not have, because you were sending the feed for the people speaking into
here.
your speaker.
From here.
Right. You was like, I want to
Oh.
hear people speaking it, hear it in my speaker. If
Yeah.
you do that, they can't hear it out,
Wonder why.
because your settings was
So.
you can listen, but then it's a setting that says speaker, and you had it set to your headphones instead of the speaker. So whenever people were talking, I didn't
On
notice until it
Facebook.
says I can't hear them, AJ. The reason why that happened is because
And that's my cousin there, Jason Bryan. That's What's daughter?
So just remember.
But she could hear.
I remember.
Sandra
Yeah,
Blunt.
that's because this is happened after I fixed it. But we know the settings next time when you go in. Your headphones has to be on a certain thing. Your speaker thing has to be on a certain thing. I'm going to show you so that way you don't do that again.
Okay.
All right.
You need to wait for that to finish.
Do I? I don't know.
Okay.
Start a meeting so I can just show you. So.
What is this meeting?
You see this right here?
Uh-huh.
Select speaker, right? So the speakers was playing out. You had it set to here.
Same as system.
Right. So it was sending all the sound from people speaking into your headphones.
That's all.
Yeah, you can't do that. You have to send it to speaker. USB audio device. So it's
sent to
sending
that.
it out. Yeah.
So it's sent to this speaker right here. I could hear it.
It's just sending it to the desktop itself. So now people can hear it. But they couldn't hear it before.
None of it.
Nope. None of anybody.
Even
else
when you
talking.
logged in, you couldn't hear it? Did you check Facebook?
You was the only one talking. I can only hear
you. You could hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you the whole time.
Oh, but you couldn't hear them at all.
Yes. And this is the setting that it has to be on. The first setting is you have to make sure your headphones, you have to make sure a microphone is here. Okay? And you have to make sure that this is here.
Okay.
All right. If not, then that's going to happen again. No.
So if I do that, then I don't need this.
I told you not to use that, but you was like,
No, but you told me.
No.
Hold on.
You was like, I want headphones on so I can hear myself talking, and I was like, you don't need headphones. You kept saying you wanted.
But if I had this, then I would have headphones.
Correct.
But I don't even know what any of my headphones
But if you
are.
had that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had that, you're still not going to be able to hear this. Because this is a part of the computer. This is just your microphone.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need headphones, all right? Which is okay. We're learning. Now, the second thing we learned is you're going to have to unplug that camera and plug it back in. And if you come up to this era again, all these work. So the connecting aspect to the two things work. Oh, snap. The live stream is still running.
So it's still picking us up then.
Yes, it is.